Hi, and welcome to Pillow Talk with Angela. Very excited because I'm going to Fiji and I want you to come too. One of my dear friends is the founder and president of Advantage International, and her organization is amazing. I could go on and on about my girl, JaVonne Harley, but I'm going to let her tell you about what she does, why she does it. Welcome, JaVonne.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for having me, Angela. Always a pleasure.
It's always my pleasure to have you on Pillow Talk. We're going to pillow talk a little bit, but first, I just want to welcome you to the show. It's been a while since you've been on here. You've been traveling quite a bit, right?
Yeah. And happy to say that because, 2020, I'm so tired of saying the word COVID
I
or the acronym
know.
COVID. But since then, I haven't been traveling as much. It took me a little bit to get back into the swing. I had three back-to-back groups in Dubai from February to March, and then one extended to the Maldives. I'm exhausted, but I
Mm,
am not complaining. I'm
right.
happy to be wheels up again.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. I saw some of your pictures from Maldives.
I know.
Gorgeous. That's on my list. Did you love it?
I absolutely loved it. And I have to share with you that the first time I went to the Maldives was in January of 21. So we were
Okay.
still pretty much in the thick of COVID. And it was the very first international trip
Ooh.
I took. And it was a very long haul trip. But I picked the destination at the time because they are a one island, one resort destination. So it very open, very secluded, so that's the reason I picked it in the time of COVID.
Yeah.
And I hadn't traveled in almost a year. And of
Mm,
course, we all know what it was like in 2020, and certainly for a travel business was extremely stressful.
yeah.
So my first trip was to the Maldives. And I tell you, on the last day, we had an over the water villa, and I was sitting out having
Ooh.
coffee, looking at the water, and I got emotional because it was
Oh.
like, this is what I love to do. But this
Oh.
is a time that I could really just sit and appreciate the water and just kind of reflect on what had happened the year before.
Yeah.
So yeah, it now
Mm,
has a place in my heart. Maldives does. So
I bet.
going back to the same resort a little over a year later, kind of had that same experience. Just
Mm,
that, I remember I came here, a year ago, but it is a beautiful, beautiful place.
I've
Absolutely
always
beautiful.
heard that. I cannot wait to go there. Hopefully, the next time you go to the Maldives,
Yes.
I'm coming. So, okay, now I didn't even tell you what tonight's topic is on Pillow Talk, but are you game to just kind of go for it?
Yes.
Fine time to ask you, right? Now that I have you here. You know what? Okay, so we're all about love and we're all about relationships on Pillow Talk and how people can, learn from past mistakes. We can learn from each other. When it comes to travel, wanted you on the show to talk about Fiji, but also to talk about this. When you're in a relationship, one of the joys is traveling with each other. And some of the things that you just pointed out, you can share these amazing moments. And when you travel, you learn things about yourself and other cultures that you'd have no other way of learning, no other way of knowing without actually going. But it can kind of backfire if you're traveling with someone for the first time and maybe you guys don't travel well together. So the
Yeah.
question is, how do you know? How do you know that it's time to take a trip? And are there any things that you could do in advance to kind of assure that things can go right, like questions and observations? And what are your thoughts?
Well, I one of the things you really need to focus on is planning. How does someone plan for an outing? It doesn't have to be a trip. It could be an outing in your own
Hmm.
hometown. If you're spending a day together, who's doing the planning? Is one person budget conscious and the other person isn't? So you can kind of pick up on these clues when you go out to dinner. Maybe you plan a day going to museums, out and about around town. You can just kind of see how you gel for an extended period of time all in one day.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
just pick up on those kind of cues. And these are all the things that you would really think about for any travel companion, right? Are you compatible with that person when it comes to travel? Because some people like to splurge, and some people, are very budget and they're going to count every penny. And how well are those two going to get together? Are they at the extremes, which is a problem?
That you need to know.
or or is there some middle ground there? So I
Mm,
think plan a day, an entire day together in town,
like
going
it.
to restaurants, going to museums, and you also get to see what kind of things you like to do. Some people are museum goers, some people are not. Some people want to take long walks and be outside, some people want to be inside. Some people are all about food experiences, and some people are not. Food is just sustenance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
these are all the clues you can, I think, pick up on.
Oh, I love that, JaVonne. That's good stuff. And
Yeah.
also, different people like different things, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. So, what do you say to the people? One might, just like you said, somebody might like to go to the museum, somebody might like to just hang out on the beach all day. And
Right.
so, I guess compromise?
Well, absolutely. One thing I always say, if you're putting together, for example, even a girlfriend's getaway, or you know, a brocation or anything like that. So it goes across all lines, whether it's a couple or just friends, and that is give everyone a hand at planning something. So it's not all for one person. And a lot of times people will just give you that responsibility because they're not planners. But then understanding that the planner is doing everything they like. So
Right.
are you
You
going to
can't
be
be
happy
mad.
with
Wait a minute. You have us going to the museum every day. Yeah, well. But you know what? And to that point, I've been in a situation like that with a girlfriend who, you know, planned everything. I just wanted to go and explore and get
right?
there and, see what we see. And, she, on the other hand, was a different type of traveler, and that was cool, but she wasn't real flexible with it. So I ended up saying, that's fine. It's not like you're taking me on this trip. I paid my good money as well. So that being said, you do what you want to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. And then we'll just meet, for dinner or whatever.
Exactly. And that's why it's good to have those conversations in the planning process. And so when someone says, oh, you just go ahead and do all the planning. Well, it's a trip for both of us. So we have to make sure that we're both satisfied with the things that we're doing. And to your point, plan for time apart. That's very important
Yeah.
for a couple as well. Sometimes you need that time apart, to do the things that you each like to do. And then when you come back together, it's so much more special.
Oh, and I'm glad you said that. That's something I've never really thought about. But that's a
Yeah.
good idea. I might want to go and, see what the spa is like. And he's not necessarily into that, but he might want to go, whatever. That's
Yeah.
good. That's really good because
Yeah.
you both kind of feel fulfilled and like you've, kind of done what you wanted to do.
Well, yeah, and I've been married for a very long time, but we travel together a lot, and we have very different interests for a lot of things, but we have
Yeah.
some similar interests. So we come together for those similar interests. And like you said, I can spend the entire day at the spa, and he's just completely fine with that. But when I get back, I'm relaxed. I'm in a good mood.
Yeah.
We can go
He
out
he
and
should
have a
be
great
glad.
dinner. Exactly.
Right. Send me to the spa, babe. Oh my gosh, you know what?
Yeah.
I love what you do, and it just brings so much joy to people who may have wanted to travel, but everybody doesn't know how to put it together. You know what I mean? You might say, I want to go here, I want to go there, or like you said, the Maldives or South Africa or Cuba or many of the places that, you have gone and have on your
Mhm.
list of places to go. As the president and founder of this organization, tell us a little bit about JaVonne Harley and why you started Advantage International.
Oh boy. Um, it really it was kind of kismet, but at the same time completely unplanned. My career goals were in merchandising. I wanted to be into fashion buying, and so that was the path that I set on in college and in my earlier jobs. But then I tired of it very quickly because when I looked at it, I started looking through that crystal ball, and it started looking pretty, like that's a long road ahead.
Yeah. Oh my
And I don't
gosh.
know if I want to go down that path.
JaVonne, I never knew that about you. I don't think so.
Yeah.
As many years as we've known each other, I had the same thing. I'm a graduate of the Fashion Institute. And then once I got out, I started working at Ann Taylor in retail. And it quickly dawned on me I did not have the passion for fashion. Not like
Retail will
that.
do it. Retail will do it because
Retail.
retail
Oh
did it
my
to
God.
me. I was like, oh no, I cannot spend
Yes.
my life doing this.
No, not the dream. But for me, it was fashion merchandising and buying as well. You and I are so
That's
much alike. That's why we're such good friends. But anyway, go on. I'm learning everything about you. Keep talking.
yeah. So one time I was just completely burned out and I was like, I'm going to take a mini sabbatical. Just, I don't know what I want to do. I'm, just going to take some time off. And I did that, but I got tired of being home just doing nothing. I'm like, okay, I need something to do. So just on a whim, I decided to take a travel course. So I'm like, let's see what this is
Really?
all about. And so when I started taking the travel course, I thought, oh, okay, this is pretty interesting. But I quickly knew I didn't want to be the standard travel agent. It reminded me of retail.
Mm,
Like, I don't
that'll
want to
make
do
your eyes
that.
start twitching. No retail.
So I got my first job afterwards was with an airline consolidator. And so it was really behind the scenes. I was negotiating contracts with the airlines. Then we were repackaging and reselling them to travel agents. And then we started picking up wholesale contracts where we were curating programs and itineraries in Brazil and doing the same thing, reselling them to travel agents. And I
Mm,
thought, this is really what I like to do. I like to be on the design side of travel and putting together programs
mm,
and selling them. But the other part of that is I realized that there were very few African Americans doing it at the time, and
mm,
no one was really going after the Black dollar. No one was going after the Black market.
mm,
And when I started traveling myself, friends and family were always like, oh, I would love to do that. But one of the things you said, I don't know where to start. I don't want to do it by
yes.
myself. So that's when I thought, after about 13 years with the company that I worked for, I decided I was going to start my own company with the
Wow.
goal of providing programs, travel programs to the African American community.
Beautiful. And
Yeah.
I remember your entire journey. We've been friends for a very long time. And
Yes.
I love it. I always respected you for just going after your dreams like that and for filling a niche that was so needed. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of my peers hadn't traveled either. Like you, after Ann Taylor, I went into the travel industry just because it was a job opening that my mom
Yeah.
found out about and said, "Hey, they've got an opening at American Airlines. Just go get a job." So anyway, I just did the job, for about a year and loved travel and would just, use it. They didn't really pay me enough, but I just used it for the
Yeah.
free flights. And
Yeah.
but I did notice there weren't a lot of people who looked like us who were traveling. And through the years, I've always I didn't gravitate toward that industry, but I've always loved the travel. And I've always
Mhm.
admired the fact that you actually, show us, you show people of color that yes, we can do it. And you do it with such style. So when
Oh, thank you.
someone, no, it's very true. I mean, it's high quality, and that's what you and your husband have always been about, you and Eugene. You and Jean Harley. So tell us, when someone takes a trip with Advantage International, what can they expect? What makes it different than, another travel agency?
Well, we call it being the concierge to the world because
Mm,
we've been to the destination in most cases. Can't say we've been to every single destination, but for the most part, if we're offering a destination, we've been there. And we base it on those personal experiences. And so we really curate the itinerary and program based on those
yeah,
experiences and with our traveler in mind.
nice.
Because I have found over the years that African Americans, we will look for things that are a little different than just your standard itinerary. We love
Mm,
cultural experiences. And one of the main things for those people that I met along the way, before I started my business, African Americans who were traveling, they didn't like the idea of feeling like they were in a fishbowl, that they were one,
hmm.
like we were the only Black couple on the whole trip. They didn't like that
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah,
So, again, having that experience where the group comes together and they feel more like a travel family, and you're
yeah,
around people that you can be comfortable with, you're
yeah,
around people who have your similar interests, and you're around people who aren't going to look at you and say, "So, what do you do? Like, who are
right.
you and why are you here?" That kind of
Exactly.
thing. So, that level of
Exactly.
kinship and that level of comfort.
Yeah, I love that. And I've been on both sides of it. I've been, the only Black couple on a trip, and they're looking at us like, oh, well, I've got questions. But, and the questions were everything but, are you two on vacation? That question
Right.
never came up. It's like, oh, are you military? Are you this? Are you that? It's just crazy. And I
Exactly.
I do love the fact that traveling with Advantage, I sound like I'm doing a commercial for
Yeah,
you.
I know.
But it's true. I mean, it's a group of people. It's always such a great group. Sometimes it'll be people who are traveling with you for the first time, and you have the option of doing, the preset things that you have already figured out for us and planned. You have the option every day. You can do what we're doing, or you can go off on your own. And,
Mhm.
you can hang with the people in the group or not. And it's always just so wonderful. So even when people are traveling alone, you're not traveling alone. So I love that, especially for this trip that we're getting ready to talk about. We're headed to Fiji, and it sounds like it's going to be such a lovely trip. And I've never been to the Fiji Islands. I've just heard that it's beautiful and romantic. So, for starters, just tell us why. Let's say I'm a single person watching and listening right now. I want to go, but I'm feeling a little intimidated because I'm all by myself. Should I take the trip?
Absolutely. For one of the main reasons that you've already mentioned is that when you're with a group, you're not alone.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to a what we call a long haul destination, you're like, I don't want to do that by myself. You can have the protection, you can have the comfort, and you can have the joy of traveling with a group of people who are going to be similar to you. And that's the other part of it, by it being an African American group.
Yeah.
And not that we exclude anybody, but it's primarily an African American market, target audience and market. And so primarily 99.9% of the people are going to be
Yeah.
African American. You're going to find something in common with someone there. And again, it's that kinship. And if you're a solo traveler who says, well, I don't want to be with everyone all the time, you have that option to exclude yourself or include yourself. That's really the beauty of it. And
Yeah.
especially as a single female traveler,
Yeah.
it's a great idea to travel with a group for safety, security, and comfort as well.
Yeah. That was one of the things I noticed on the last trip I took with you. There were a lot of single females who were just
Mhm.
as comfortable and just had a good time. And single males, I mean, I bring that up because I'm always trying to match people up. So you never know. You never know who you're going to meet. So it's cool for couples, cool for singles, just everybody. Just plan on taking this trip. So let's talk about Fiji. Tell us what we're
Yes.
in for. Why should people book this flight and trip and cruise, and what are we in for?
Oh, I love Fiji. It is a beautiful, beautiful destination. The beautiful water, the beautiful people, and the aquatic activities that you can participate in. But we also do some very cultural experiences as well when we visit the islands and on board itself, because the Blue Lagoon the crew is 100% Fijian, and
Ooh.
they are Melanesian people. So they're Black people too.
Melanesian. I like that.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like Blasian?
No, it's Asian, so like Polynesian, or
Mm,
it's just the area, but they are melanated people. They're Black
love
people,
it.
so they're Melanesian. It's just the area that they're in. And actually, in some ancestry that I've read, they are direct descendants from Africa. So
Well,
it's the with 100% Fijian crew, that in itself is going to give you that Fijian
yeah,
cultural experience
yeah.
through the food, through interaction with the staff. They're excited to show you their islands as well. And it's all people who are Fijian. That's what I love about it, because a lot of times you go on a cruise, the crew, they're from all over the world, right?
Right. Every
The
time I've been
typical
on one.
Right. The typical cruise you go on, people are from all over. So it becomes a thing. And sometimes their name tag will say what country they're from. So here, everyone is Fijian on board except
Love it.
us. So
Right.
it's a great cultural interaction. And then when we visit the islands, we are also meeting with and having those cultural experiences, whether it's going to church on Sunday
Mm,
or having an island dinner with a community. But even on board, for example, like one time we tied off to a tree, the boat tied off to a tree,
okay.
and we saw the crew going ashore and cutting down coconuts. And
Mm.
that was part of our cuisine for the day.
Oh,
And local fishing boats coming up to the ship. And so you get the fresh catch of the day. So it's that
oh my
total
goodness.
immersive experience, because it's a small cruising vessel. It only has 34 cabins on board.
Oh,
So we're
very
not talking
intimate.
about a mega cruise ship. It's a small cruise ship. It's very casual. We're not talking about a yacht, but it's a very casual accommodations along with these just island experiences that you're going to get.
Mm.
So there are places where you can swim ashore. Um, and like I said, you'll see the crew going and chopping down coconuts, and you
Oh
may
my
have a nice
gosh.
coconut ceviche a fish ceviche for dinner.
Yes,
So these are
please.
just wonderful. Exactly, these are just wonderful experiences.
Oh, I love it. All right. So before we let you go, and thank you for spending such quality time with us tonight. This is amazing. For people who are watching, I know they want to go. Is it still possible?
It is
And then,
still possible.
okay.
Yes. So, of course, you can go to WHUR.com and look for the Fiji Island Cruise. You'll see it under the Advantage International link, and that'll take you directly to our website. We have a day-to-day itinerary. It's a 7-night cruise, and we're
Woo.
going through the Yasawa and the Mamanuca Islands, different island experiences at different places, swimming in a cave,
Oh my
swimming with
goodness.
reef sharks. Island experiences, as I
Mm.
mentioned, dining with a community, a local community, or, going to a church service. So all of these different wonderful experices along the way.
Ooh. I'll be the one with the life vest on trying to swim. I don't know how to swim, but I'm getting in the water anyway. Don't
You
laugh.
have to.
You can
You
laugh. I
have
don't even
to.
care. I'll
I
be in
I
the
won't
water
laugh.
floating.
You can maybe try your hand at stand-up paddleboard, or
Yeah.
and for those who are very much into aquatic sports, if you want to do scuba diving, things like that, you
Mm.
can. But even, swimming with the reef sharks, they're small yellow sharks with little black tips. It's very guided. They're not going to put you in harm's way. but they allow you to be in that experience or in that atmosphere with them. And a lot of people who went last time that we did this were not great swimmers. They had their life vests on.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but certainly if you are and you want to go scuba diving and doing those things, you can do that too.
So amazing. And then the dates, what is it, April 27th?
Yes, it's April 27th. We arrive on the 29th because we're crossing the date line. We're not flying for 2 days. It's just that you cross the date line. So
Okay,
you
I was
arrive on the
scared there.
29th.
Be like sleeping on the beach just for the first 24 hours.
No, but because you cross the date line, you arrive. You arrive the next day, but the date changes because of the date
Gotcha.
line. We will have a day at a resort when we arrive before we get on board the ship. And so you'll get a chance to kind of relax and freshen up before we get on the boat. And then on the last day, we'll go to a private island where we can enjoy ourselves before we get back on the plane as well.
Oh, JaVonne, I'm so excited. I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to meet all the people in Fiji. What did you call them? Melanesian.
Melanesian. Well,
The
they're Fijian,
Melanesian
but they're
people.
Melanesian people. Yeah.
The melanated Malaysian, no, not Malaysian. I'll have to work on that. I just can't wait. And to try the different foods, the cuisine. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. All right,
Yeah.
everybody, WHUR.com. Book your trip. You can hang out with JaVonne and me and everyone else who's on the trip. We're going to have a blast. JaVonne, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. See you in Fiji.
Yes.
Bye. Thank you all for watching Pillow Talk with Angela. Yeah, I'm serious about that. Go to WHUR.com and make sure that you book your trip. It's not too late. She said there's still space available for you. Think about who you want to bring. I mean, if you're not in a relationship, you can either come by yourself or bring your bestie. Actually, that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing my best friend, and we're going to take pictures of each other, be on the beach. I think she can swim, but I don't even care. I'll just do whatever I can do. We'll see you there. Have a good night.